Hey everybody, this is part 2 to my OBL blog. I just been given some information that's sort of taking me a few minutes to process. I literally just got this information a few minutes ago. Now, as you may have remember from the first part of my blog, I mentioned that I have contacts in the country of Pakistan, and one of them actually works at the military base that is a few kilometers away from where OBL was reportedly found in Abbottabad. And the information, this is the information. And I said at the end of the blog of the last part that I just wanted truth. And whatever the truth is, I would agree with that. And this person has no reason to lie to me. And I trust my contacts. And I'll just tell you the information as it was told to me. The information is that the person that was killed was Osama bin Laden. There's people who are reporting now from the shops and the children of the people around the area that, yeah, the kids were playing, the kids were playing with his kids or his grandkids, and the shop owners now are on camera and being interviewed and saying, and they're obviously speaking in Pashto or Urdu, now that you say that, of course it makes sense, but we couldn't think that that would be him because he spoke perfect. He had a perfect dialect in Pashto or Urdu. I forgot which one. So the shop owners apparently are around the area for the groceries, not like big stores like we have here, but small little places, are saying, yeah, I guess that makes, saying, yeah, it was that definitely, now that you say it, I guess, how do we not know? And the kids in the area who are playing with his grandkids are describing this man. And the person, the contact in the military base, just said, honestly, we didn't know. And for OBL's part, it's brazen, and people may underestimate his intelligence. Obviously, he's incredibly wealthy, and obviously he's semi-intelligent. His father has close relations with Saudi, royalty, and originally, instead of the Saudi families leaving their air-conditioned tents to go fight off the former, Soviet Union, they were looking for somebody, and Osama bin Laden's father offered Osama bin Laden, so he was getting funding from the UK at the time, and possibly Israel. I've heard Israel, but I'm not entirely sure. Now, as far as that information goes, the people that I'm in contact with have basically said that, yeah, it was him, and he's dead. So that's a bit to process for me. Taking into consideration all the people throughout the years who have said that they've had him on ice, they could have meant metaphorically, I suppose. I mean, that the government has, thousands of satellites in the sky. They can see underground and have heat-seeking satellites, and can watch, can read the brand on your shoe from space. So it's not too far-fetched to think that they had some sort of DNA tag on him or some sort of biochemical signature, and he could have had his own satellite for all we know. He could have had permanent detail of people watching him and knowing where he was at all time. That could have been the term on ice, because U.S. officials throughout the years and people in military have been said to know where he is at several times in several different instances. So they could have had him on that proverbial ice until the opportune time. So that doesn't really, whether or not he actually died that, on May 1st there, it doesn't really change the fact that the U.S. government and people are on record saying they knew where he was, and we know where he was, and taking into consideration the technological aspect of satellites tracking and all that, it's not too far-fetched to think that the U.S. government knew where he was all along, but just refused to enter until this time. And the other piece of information that I got was that all of Pakistan's satellites were jammed with high-tech technology that the Russians had years ago, but that Pakistan was unaware that the U.S. had. So, and not only that, but Pakistan did scramble their fighter jets, but as I said in the previous part, by the time they got there, the operation was already over. But a helicopter on the U.S. side really did crash land, and you can see pictures of that. So, like I said, I just want truth, and ultimately OBL's death or non-death doesn't really affect the fact that, I'm gonna go to bed tonight and I'm gonna wake up and go, maybe have a tea, and it doesn't really affect my day-to-day. But when understanding political matters and the media and how they spin things, I like to have a good grip on what the truth is, because like most people, I don't like being lied to. So as far as the U.S. demonizing Pakistan right now, and people hyping up, oh, maybe they want to go for a war with Pakistan, I did mention that to my Pakistani sources, multiple, and just recently, like today, and the feedback I got was, war with Pakistan? Troops are already in Pakistan. There's already bases of U.S. troops in Pakistan. They've been working together for years. And as far as war, the U.S. would never need to go to war with Pakistan. They could just cut off the IMF funding and the country would collapse. They have a strong agriculture, but as far as irrigation goes, India, if they keep damming off all the water, are going to cut off their water entirely. And as far as oil goes, yes, the U.S. industrial complex isn't interested in Pakistan and the surrounding area through Afghanistan being able to get a pipeline of oil out into the ocean. Of course they're not, and that's why I was told Barack Obama offered or gave a ton of money to India, because India was interested in getting oil from that pipeline. Said, why are you interested? Don't do that. Don't do that. Just here, take our money instead. But the pipeline or not pipeline can be an entirely other matter. As far as troops and war with Pakistan goes, yeah, Pakistan does have atomic weapons, but the creation of those atomic weapons happened on the full watch of the U.S. military-industrial complex, and it's not like they didn't know where the money was going. So, as far as Pakistan's government corruption and all that, I was told that that it seems like I'm severely overestimating the Pakistan as a country and how well off they are, and I'm overestimating. I'm thinking too highly of the government, and I was told, how corrupt these people are. The U.S. would know, 1,000 different ways to cripple the entire country without having to drop one single bomb. And I was sort of talked down to and told that I was thinking way too highly of the country and how developed it is, and what the potential capabilities are. But at the same time, I was told that yes, Israel is sort of nagging on the U.S. side about the potential threat of Pakistan's nukes. But originally, they were supposed to be used. They were an asset that Pakistan had nukes because Pakistan and the U.S. is good relationship, and if Pakistan ever needed to go into India, which would take the U.S. one step closer to China. So there's already bases in Pakistan, and there's already military occupation. So as far as just sitting on Pakistan and making sure that oil pipeline never gets built, or if it does, it's entirely under the U.S. control, is an entirely other subject of Osama bin Laden being dead. So I was told that yes, that was in fact the same as Osama bin Laden, which I said right away. I said it could have been a body double, or it could have been, his family was there, for sure. Nobody's denying that. He's an incredibly wealthy person. His family's heavily invested, with the Carlyle Group and different construction contracts that were afforded to him for working alongside the British and the U.S. to fight off the Soviets in the 80s with the CIA created Al-Qaeda. But when I suggested that it might have been a body double or somebody else that they were just saying is Osama, they said, look, no, it was him. And that shows how smart he was and how ballsy he was to think that nobody would ever think that he would be living 2 kilometers away from a military base. And so now it's like 60% of Pakistan's GDP goes to fund the army. So now you can imagine the Pakistani people are severely pissed off at their army and threatening to cut funding or switch army, or who knows. But Pakistani people are pissed off at their army and the ISI for allowing this to happen after, what are we paying you for? What are we giving you all this money for? This is what you're letting happen. So there's a huge internal civil contention between Pakistan government and the people right now. And as I said earlier, the government of Pakistan is highly corrupted, blatantly. And I was told, nobody cares about anybody else. And here they have, here we'll pull over if a cop's, we'll pull over. Here, when you're in a traffic jam, nobody rather will pull over and drive along the side. But in Pakistan, people just say, I don't care about you. There's no sort of like empathy. Oh, piss on him, and I'm out for myself, and everybody wants to be a millionaire overnight, and da-da-da-da-da. People don't have the same value for human life in the majority as most people do in North America. So that's what I was told, in short. And take that with a grain of salt as well, I suppose, and do your own research. But that's what I was told, and I feel I have there's no reason for my sources to lie to me, as we're all in good standing relationships. And I haven't had a history of any sort of deception with any of these people. And that's all I have to say. Take care. Tell your friends to get a job. I think I'll answer a question that was posed right now. Give me 1 second just to find the exact question. There's a question asked of me, and I thought maybe I can answer it. But I want to make sure I got the right question. What are your views about the idea that this Osama bin Laden assassination is an endgame strategy being implemented in order to impeach Barack Obama for committing extrajudicial punishment for invading Pakistan to seize and capture OBL illegally, and with that the added possibility of a military coup in the United States? My thoughts on that are, as far as impeaching Barack Obama, the military-industrial complex, Rothschild, Rockefeller faction, and the people who own, and run everything as far as the military-industrial complex goes, they wouldn't need to go as far as discrediting Barack Obama for invading another country, without that country's permission. They wouldn't have to go as far as to impeach him. And as far as impeaching him, even on those grounds, Barack Obama didn't step foot in Pakistan. And as far as impeaching anybody for war crimes, Bush isn't impeached for his war crimes, if you want to consider killing millions of people in a foreign country war crimes for an illegal war. They wouldn't have to go that far to impeach Barack Obama. They could just reveal, some of the truth about his life, or the fact, Anyway, I don't want to get into that, but he's on record with his name being Barry Soetoro, and that he's changed his name. So that's one thing. I mean, you could impeach him for other things than this going into a sovereign nation of Pakistan and committing this war crime on somebody else's soil. As far as the military coup in the United States, that's what Eisenhower warned about years ago, with the military-industrial complex. And as far as, was it Thomas Jefferson rather, that said, if you allow the bankers to run the currency in the country, then your grandchildren will wake up homeless on the continent that their fathers founded, and that the biggest threat to the United States wasn't a standing army, but it was the banking system. So the banking hierarchy, the family who control the Federal Reserve and the central banks, Rothschilds and Rockefellers, headed up by Ben Bernanke and all that, they've already committed the coup in 1913. So that was years ago, and President Eisenhower warned about a military-industrial complex coup, and I suppose you could say that's already happened. I mean, what more evidence do you need than endless wars and endless occupations, endless amounts of troops going over to wars overseas while the president is getting Nobel Peace Prizes, who is single-handedly has his country in more wars than any president before him. Occupation and military adventures, kinetic actions, seem to be the name of the United States game right now. So what more evidence do you need that there already has been a military coup in the United States? As far as directly taking over the presidency or taking over the government, that's pretty much what martial law is. It's the military directly enforcing the will of the executive branch of the government. And that hasn't directly happened yet, but there's checkpoints on the streets all over the place. They're talking about the TSA having Viper teams on the streets. So the question is more, how far down the line, like what more do you need to say that it's already a police state, that there's already been a coup? Look up the Secret Service and how they protect the president. Look up, all the different alphabet soup agencies and secret agencies that there already are. And that's a gigantic sucking sound on the wallet of the American taxpayer. And it's only getting bigger. So as far as the average American taxpayer and where their hard-earned money goes, if spending extra money and more money every year on a growing sucking sound for security, I'd say that's a coup. But as far as the military directly taking over the American government, because of their compartmentalization and constant changing, and various security agencies, CIA, FBI, NSA, Secret Service. I mean, do you think that any of those other agencies would let that happen? And as far as, you would need somebody in the military that would head up this whole coup. It couldn't just be various people. In which army? The Army? The Navy? SEAL Team 6? Which one? And pretty easily somebody could just direct another compartmentalized alphabet soup agency to kill all the people in the other one. Or if that doesn't work, just hire Blackwater to do it for you, or some other secret mercenary. So I think the compartmentalization aspect of the United States military-industrial complex hierarchy is designed to prevent two people from getting in a room and agreeing and sharing information, or two agencies. So I don't think that that's a military coup. That's more for South Africa and places like Libya, where Muammar Gaddafi got to power by a coup, a military coup, and more like for places like that. I mean, the United States, as far as I can tell, has never really had a military coup, or been close to it, really. But that would be pretty wild. I don't think that's anywhere on our horizon right now, blatantly, as you're pointing to. But like in the sense of that there's already been a military-industrial complex hostage situation, and taken, like, military-industrial complex, the Rothschilds, the banking faction, and all that. They're pretty much already holding the president hostage. I mean, he can't go anywhere without the Secret Service following him around. If JFK getting shot, in the head in broad daylight didn't send a message to every succeeding president, I don't know what did. We can kill you in broad daylight. Don't mess around. We know where you live. We know where your family is. We own you. You're a hostage. You do what we say and not the other way around. You read our teleprompters. We tell you what to say. So there's the illusion that the president is the most powerful man in America, and some people argue the world. But if that was the case, I got some oceanfront property to sell you in Arizona. That's not the case, and even if it was, most presidents last 4 years, 4-year terms at most, 8-year terms. So that position is has the power, not the person of Barry Soetoro, or whatever. Anyway, I hope that answers your question. Tell your friends to get a job.